Once we were talking about your childhood, and you told me that you lived between
Heaven and hell.
heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, okay. For those who don't know about Brooklyn in general, where I officially grew up was in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Do you know of the movie called New Jack City?
Yes, yes.
And it was about the rise of the crack cocaine era in New York. So what people saw as a movie, that was my life. And even at a young age, I wondered to myself if I would live to see 12. This is me as a child, accepting that I might not live to be a teenager. And this was my everyday reality.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. So where I lived in Brownsville, it was a hub of like many drug dealers. And there was always shootings at night because it was like different turf wars. So what happens is you're sleeping at night. Sometimes you hear gunshots going off like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Instinctively, what I would do, I would get out of bed, pillow and blanket, and sleep on the floor, just in case a bullet comes through the window or the door and kills you. That's happened before to people where, you know, because it's crossfire, you might get killed in your sleep. And this was normal. It's not normal, but this was normal for me. And when I think back and I'm like, wow, this is what my life was. It wasn't that, you know, we went to a bad neighborhood, because it wasn't like that before.
How old were you?
Let me see, we're talking about the rise of the crack cocaine era. This was probably in no one really knew about crack cocaine until maybe the mid 80s, I think.
All right.
Roughly, 85, 86, I'm guessing. And around 85, 86, I was 8 or 9. You remember life before certain things, like you remember life before the internet. You know, for some people, if they were alive that long. So I remember for a short time, the world before crack cocaine. I definitely remember the world before the internet happened and different things. Wow, if it was 85, that means about 40 years or so, because it's 2025. And as crack cocaine era is rising, so is hip hop. Not because hip hop and that were the same thing. Hip hop started before that. It's just that, you know, hip hop went from being party music in the 70s, because it started in 73, to now becoming about the message, which is like, you know, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. And the message was about drugs and crime and prostitution, all that stuff. Then hip hop became a tool to tell the story of what was happening in the inner city. And what was happening in the inner city at that time was crack cocaine. And a lot of people made a lot of money. Some people made money who became famous. Jay-Z is one of them. He said so, and Biggie too. The funny thing about Jay-Z is the fact that I've passed him many times. I'm sure I have. The reason why, he did a documentary called Fade to Black, and in one of the scenes, he was on top of a roof, and he was pointing down and saying, I used to sell crack right there. I used to deal. And I'm looking like, I knew exactly the location where he's pointing at. The location he's pointing at was right at the corner where I would always pass, getting off the train to turn the corner to go to my school.
Wow.
So I'm like, if he's selling crack there at the time frame that he's talking about, I've passed Jay-Z many times. Now, he didn't try to sell crack to me, but if that's where he was and the times that he said he was at, that's his block. I passed pre-famous crack dealing Jay-Z in in Fort Greene. Every day I would pass there. But if that's his block, then that's who I saw. But I didn't know who he was. So yeah, so all these people, I probably bumped into so many famous people before they were famous and didn't even know it. You know, because of the time frame, when I listened to their stories and then where they were talking about, like I grew up in all these areas. Okay, this goes into the heaven part of my story. So the heaven part is Park Slope. My grandparents had a brownstone in Park Slope. And people who don't know where Park Slope, Brooklyn is, it looks like the Cosby Show, the area. A nice neighborhood, the nice brownstones, the mixture of neighbors. There were Latinos, there were Jews, there were Africans. It was a mix of people, but in a safe neighborhood. So after school, me and my sister, when I was old enough, we would walk to my grandparents' house. And then my mother, after she got off of work, would pick us up in the evening and take us back to Brownsville. So during the day, I'm in heaven. I'm in a nice neighborhood, nice setting, nice people. You could play out on the street safely, not worried about any crime. And there's always crime, but you're not worried about like on the level that my place was. Then my mother picks us up, takes us back down on the 3 train going to East New York to Brownsville. I remember one time we got off the train and we stopped by the corner store to just get something or whatever. All you hear is gunshots, crossfire, like a drive-by, and we had to drop on the ground and just wait till it was finished. And my mother would be paranoid. Are you okay? Did you get shot? I'm like, I would know if I got shot. No, you don't know, because sometimes you don't feel it. I'm not shot. I would have felt that. I was calm only because I was used to it. But why should a child be used to? It wasn't the same like in LA, but it was still dangerous. We saw on movies like the gangs and the colors and everything. We had gangs, we didn't have that, but it was dangerous nonetheless, either coast that you're on. And as a child, I was used to gunfire. I didn't like it, obviously, and it was depressing and I wanted to leave. And that's why I was so glad that when after school I go to my grandparents' house or on the weekends for dinner. And then in the summertime, perfect. My mother would always drop us off at my grandparents' place. So my whole days were spent in Park Slope. And then in the evening, I'm in hell in Brownsville. Every day, that was my experience.
And I can imagine that you lost a lot of people that you love, right?
My mother would not allow me to hang outside with the neighborhood children in Brownsville. There was no way my mother would allow me to play outside because I would be dead. The only place I play outside was with my grandparents' area.
Oh, right.
So I knew the children there in the neighborhood, and we knew each other more because I was allowed to be outside.
Gotcha.
It was okay for me to be outside and my grandfather watched and I could be out there. Even if he looked away, there's other neighbors looking out. But Brownsville? No. So no, I was never allowed to even dare be outside ever in Brownsville. Hell.